Hello everyone, and welcome to the long-awaited and much delayed, but very much anticipated, 5th Winter 2025-26 update, GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, we're going to bring you more winter data. We're up to update number 5. We should have done this one last week, but I was a bit poorly last weekend, on my birthday weekend as well, drat. No, we've delayed and haven't done a winter update for 2 weeks now, but we're going to bring you plenty of winter data. There's lots to get your teeth into for this one, and I shall get on with it for you in a moment. Just to say, there was no 6am forecast today. I'm recording this late on Saturday evening after doing my second job at a very, very busy Watford Gap. So I'm a bit tired. I'm going to get this recorded, uploaded and scheduled for Sunday morning, and then I'm off to bed. So no 6am forecast today, but it should be back on Monday. Thank you so to Ricardo. Richard Shaw sent our gift through. So thank you so much to Richard for the winter updates gift. I love it, Rich. Thank you so much, my friend. You're going to see the swing out from the King of Swing in a moment. Thank you so much to Richard, thank you so much to Shryan, Brian, and thank you so much to Terry Scotty, hashtag Team Gav, doing an awesome job for us on our winter updates as always. Thank you so much, guys. Right, okay, well, let's crack on then. I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I can. So I've had a really busy day, well, busy evening at Watford Gap. It went absolutely crazy for about an hour and a half this evening. It's had lots of rugby fans calling in, so I am very, very, very tired. So I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as I can, and then we'll get it uploaded and then get to bed and have a sleep. But anyway, you're not interested in that. You want winter data. So the first thing by the way, this is the first time I've appeared on camera for like over a week, I think. It was on 17th of October I last appeared on camera. So, what do you mean? I'm alright, ain't I? So you're probably thinking he's about dead, I don't know, on his last legs, but that's alright. Maybe lost a bit of weight again, but I'm not looking too bad, am I? Not for like a near 50-year-old man, anyway. At least I've still got the natural hair colour and that. Anyway, I'm on a tangent, but I'm alright, so don't worry, everyone. Right, let's start off with Swingometer then. So, after 4 winter updates, not including this one, of course, update number 5, but after the first 4 winter updates, this is how our Swingo is looking from the King of Swing, Richard Shaw. In 5, in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go. And we're suggesting that the winter updates, after 4 updates, are indicating a colder than average winter by 52% to 48%. You will see that in a moment. 52, 48%, 2% cold, 48% mild. Yes, the winter updates after 4 updates, only 4, suggesting very, very narrow lead for a colder than average winter. But of course, got lots of winter data to get through so far, and you'll find out at the beginning of next week's winter update number 6, how this 5th update has affected the swingometer. Thank you, shout out to King of Swing, King of all the swingers, Richard Shaw, for sending that through. Well, we're going to start off some analogues for this update. So the first thing we're going to look at is the QBO. I'm then going to look at analogues based on the easterly phase of quasi-biennial oscillation. So just to confirm, we are in an easterly QBO phase now. This is the level of the atmosphere from the stratosphere, top of the atmosphere, 10 HPA to 30 to 50 HPA. That's the boundary level of the atmosphere called the troposphere, and that is the boundary level where weather is taking place. So this blue-green area shows that the easterly QBO has descended from the stratosphere down into the troposphere. We are having an easterly QBO, and the winter of the hold on. Winter 2025-2026 will be an easterly QBO winter. This easterly QBO developed quite quickly, so this is coming from NOAA. This is showing that at the start of 2025, it's actually in a westerly QBO, and quite a strong one as well. It's around sort of late spring, early summer, that the westerly QBO flipped and reversed into an easterly negative QBO. And look how negative the numbers have gone, already down to minus 24.26 as of September 2025. Well, we're expecting negativity of the QBO to continue through October, November, December. Definitely, almost certainly will carry on into January and February. Probably will start to weaken and reverse back to Westerly QBO sometime next summer and or autumn. So basically going to be an easterly QBO winter. It's also going to be a very strong easterly QBO winter as well, given that as of September we're already down to minus 22.28. So we are going to be looking at winters that have negative minus easterly QBO numbers for all three of the winter months, December, January, February. So basically these are the strongest easterly QBO winters, if you like. So we're starting off here with 1956, 1957, which does have a white Christmas, interestingly. So we've got quite a cold Christmas, but it's otherwise quite a mild and wet winter with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic there. And then we've got 1958, 1959. It has a cold January and then gets milder later on in winter. Also has a mild December, I think, in 1958, but as I say, it does have a cold January, so a bit of a blocking signal as well with higher pressure up towards Iceland. Oh, what is it? 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 It's my daddy, my daddy, my daddy. Daddy of cold winters. Been a while since you seen this fella. Yes! It's my daddy! It's my daddy! It's a 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 daddy of cold winters! Showing up in our analogues again this week. That's from Nigel, who I met at Watford Gap on Friday, and he said he loves seeing the Darth Vader helmet in the long range. So that's for Nigel. Hello, Nigel. I hope you're tuning in. Yes, it's a daddy of cold winters. It's 62, 63. There is the analogue for the coldest winter since 1740. Wow, 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 wow. With a blocking area of high pressure. I'm so sorry, everyone. Blocking area, I'm not really. Blocking area of high pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland. And low pressure is plunging down into southern Europe. And check out what's happening with the wind flow and the jet stream. Well, that's going up here and then down there, doing something like that. And it means that ultimately we're drawing in wind from from Siberia and from the Arctic. And all in all, it is exceptionally cold and exceptionally snowy winter. Yes, it's my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy, my daddy of cold winters. It's 62, 63, and it did indeed have a pretty strong ECQBO going on during that winter as well, with the QBO in minus double digits in all three of those winter months. Goodness gracious me, you wasn't expecting that one to turn up, was you? Like a bad penny, turn up from the books. Right, okay, well, let's move on. 1965, 1966 showing up next. This is a front-load winter, colder in the front part winter. December 65 is quite cold, has really quite a cold spell in January 66 as well, then gets very mild and wet later on in the winter. We've got 74, 75 as our next winter. It's a mild, dry winter with high pressure south and low pressure wind to the northwest. We draw up those southwest winds. Won't look out of place in a modern winter, that one. Then we've got 76, 77. No, this one, again, front-loaded. Coldest part winter is in December of 1976 and then into January 77. Then it gets mild, wet, later on winter. Extraordinarily cold winter in Eastern America with that trough of low pressure, one of the coldest winters they have ever recorded. I say we get the coldest part of winter in the early part, and then it gets mild and wet later on as the cold sort of moves over the other side of the Atlantic. Extremely cold in January and February in much of America. And we've got 81, 82. It's another cold winter as well. Again, front-loaded with high pressure up towards Greenland and whatnot. Low pressure down to south. Has a very cold and snowy December in 1981. Relents a little bit around the new year, and then back cold comes into the second week of January with another big freeze. Then it gets much milder and also drier later on in the winter. 83, 84. It's our next ECQBO winter with low pressure around Greenland, high pressure around the Azores, and winds coming in from a westerly direction. So that one has a lot of cold zonality with snowy conditions, particularly in the north, but cold rain, lots of cold rain down in the south. 91, 92 is definitely a winter to forget with high pressure right over top of country. So not much going on in that winter, very quiet and benign winter indeed. And then we've got 2000, 2001 showing up as our next winter. This one with low pressure just about far on the south, allow cold air in from the blocking high to the north. It's a particularly cold winter for Scotland, much less cold for England and Wales, but does have some cold snaps for England, Wales, and well, for the era, it's one of the colder winters of the late 90s and early to middle 2000s. And then we've got 2005, 2006. The analog looks amazing. Looks like it should be a very, very cold winter with lots of high pressure around Scandinavia. Going to Svalbard, the winds in from the east. It's just winter that never really comes together, to be honest. Lots of dull, not overly cold, but chilly weather. Does get cold in the second half of February. It has like 4-week cold period from mid-February to mid-March 2005, 2006. But even that, isn't that cold. And overall, for the analog, it's a bit of a failure and a bit of a disappointment. It's like cold weather. Then there's 2009, 2010. Definitely not a failed cold winter. This is the coldest winter for the country, for the UK, since 1979, and for England and Wales since about 79 again for Scotland since 1963. Big blocking area of high pressure around Greenland, low pressure again into the south. Winds coming in from that bitterly cold east to northeasterly direction. That is a very cold winter. 09, 10, 2009, 2010, 2010, 2011, 2012. Sorry, takes the cold into eastern parts of Europe, courtesy of this trough of low pressure. Extremely cold winter into eastern, southeast Europe, particularly through the Balkans and whatnot. We're kept on the periphery of the cold for much of the period and protected by that area of high pressure from the Azores. Put your teeth in, Gav. So, freezing cold winter for Eastern Europe. Not that cold here, however, it does have one big freeze, and that happens in February of 2012. Then we've got 2014, 2015. This one is just like an average type winter. Low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, bringing wind in from Atlantic. Really cold snaps, but not much happening in that winter. 2017-18 has the beast from the east, of course, with a trough of low sitting just to our east and high pressure out there. So it has a cold spell in December of 2017 with some early snowfalls. Cold mostly in the north through January 2018. And then, of course, we get the big freeze coming along in the second half of February 2018. So it's bitterly cold, severely cold actually, with lots of heavy snow right at the very end of winter and lasting into the beginning of mid-tropical spring. 2021-2022 is the winter that all fell apart over Christmas. So up to Christmas this winter looked like it could be quite cold, and it looked like we'd have a cold Christmas. About 2 days before Christmas, that cold spell fell apart. start, and the winter then never recovered. And overall, it turns out to be a mild winter that we have in 2021 and 2022. One to forget is like cold conditions, and 23-24 is our final ECQV winter with low pressure going to the north, high pressure to the south, and you've guessed it, we're bringing the wind from off the Atlantic like that. Right, let's put all of that together then, and this is how all Decembers combined are looking following easterly QBO winters with all 3 winter months in minus double digits. And we find that for all but December's, we get a trough of low pressure centred over to the east of the country, and there's a blocking signal away to the north. So more often than not, but not always, you could expect some colder Decembers with these easterly QBO winters. All January's combined looking rather more epic for cold, I have to say, with high pressure more in the North Atlantic and around Greenland, and Iceland, trough of low pressure a bit further south to the east, which look like it should be bringing the wind in a lot of the time. Again, not all the time though, from a north or a northeasterly direction. And then we go through to all February's combined. It looks like it's more Scandinavian high type base, so higher pressure towards Scandinavia, lower pressure in the Atlantic, bit of a battleground with that. So a lot of the time East February's probably turned milder anyway, with winds swinging around to more of a southerly or southeast direction. Sometimes though, you could probably bring the wind in from an east or northeasterly direction. Sorry, with some of those Februaries. I think this is a signal both of the coldest weather to be in the earlier to middle part of winter overall. But it's how all winters combined are looking following ECQBOs, where we've got minus double digits for all 3 of the winter months, and it's a cold winter signal overall, I think, with high pressure towards Greenland, Iceland, low pressure tending to be to our south and east winds coming in from the east direction. We do see, but there are many years, that don't do that. We've got 1959, for example, which wasn't a cold winter, did have a cold January. 1957 wasn't a particularly cold winter. 1974-75 wasn't, so there are exceptions to the rule with this, as ever, with weather, but I think it overall probably is the fact that the ECQBO is a colder winter signal. So let me know in the comments what you think about that particular idea. I'm going to pause the video for a second, and then when we return, we're going to look at more winter data. See you shortly. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the epic 5th winter 2025-26 update from GavsWeatherVids. Just had to stop video and have a little bit of a drink of water. I felt like I'm going to lose my voice then. Thank you to Shrine Brown for sorting out all of those years for us for that first section of this winter update. Thank you so much, Shrine. Awesome job, my friend. Right, let's move on and have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies. So this is how the oceans were looking when we did last week's a couple of weeks ago before winter update. So we've got the ENSO region just here, we've got the northern Pacific just here, particularly focused on the northeastern Pacific, we've got the Indian Ocean over there, and of course we've got the North Atlantic over here. Right, so that's how the ocean's looking when we did the 4th winter update. This is how the ocean's looking now, 2 weeks on. And let's deal with the ENSO region. First of all, the actual Pacific Ocean from Peru to Indonesia. I reckon we're seeing a strengthening of the La Nina signature, particularly in the central and eastern portion over the last couple of weeks. Let's go back to last week, last update, and it looked like that. Let's go forward to now. So yeah, I reckon especially from right here to about there, we have seen a strengthening of the La Nina signature. It is still a weak La Nina, don't get me wrong, but I think we have seen a strengthening of that over the past couple of weeks. So La Nina continuing, or La Nina signature anyway, may never get designated, but the La Nina signature continuing to strengthen slightly over the past couple of weeks. In the Northern Pacific, so we're up here. Now the how things were looking a couple of weeks ago, the how things looking now. So I think we're seeing an increasing still for a cold PDO again. Be cold and average sea surface temperature, not just here to the south of Hawaii and then over towards California. I think that, signal has increased a little bit, and it's turned a bit colder up here in the northeastern Pacific as well. So we're probably not all that far away now from getting the famous horseshoe shape of cold. That is, of course, the signature of the negative cold phase of the PDO, Pacific Decadal Oscillation, and this is almost certainly in response to that landing your signature in the Indian Ocean. Well, the negative IOD in the ocean dipole continues. Colder than average sea surface temperature through here, one with an average through there, kind of split down the middle of the Indian Ocean, and so the cold IOD phase is continuing. And then we move over to the Atlantic, and this is where we're looking now. So we're on this side of the screen as you're looking at it. So that's how things are looking a couple of weeks ago. This is the latest. So quite interesting. We're probably seeing an increasing signal for a tripole there. I think we've got warmer than average sea surface temperature through here and intensifying around here and through here as well, because it's always, or most years these days, it's warm through here as well. And then through there, looking a little bit cooler. It's still not a classic perfect tripole. Reason being, you will want this area to be cooler or colder, so you want the eastern seaboard of America to be displaying a colder signature. But I reckon the way the Atlantic is developing here possibly is an indication for a negative LEO and for a tripole to be starting to try at least to set up. So that'll be very interesting to see how that develops through the remainder of the autumn and through the remainder of the winter updates. This is how the 7-day trend is looking, 7-day change. So in the ENSO region, most areas have cooled over the past 7 days, particularly in the central and eastern region. The Indian Ocean cooling through there, warming through there. In the northern and northeastern Pacific, cooling has occurred quite significantly in the past 7 days. And then in the Atlantic, well, again, kind of pointing towards a tripole, warming to the south of Greenland, warming around the Azores and going down into tropical subtropical Atlantic. This area just here is that area cooling down. If it is, then we might be heading for a tripole type signature. Rather unexpectedly. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I think the Atlantic through the remainder of these winter updates. Blimey. Well, juxtaposed to the season of temperature is particularly ENSO and the Atlantic, is the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. So, basically, the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia. Latest scores of it all, Miss Ford, are looking like this. We've had a total of 13 depressions, 13 tropical storms, 5 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. That's how scores of it are looking. Ace Master Schreier has calculated our ACE numbers for us, accumulated cyclone energy. Remember, we go all the way back to the 1850s with this, and the classifications are below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. If we come down to the latest year, we can see that by 2025, our ACE now is standing at 101.40. That is after 13 tropical storms, 4 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. It's still a little bit below par. Although the classification is actually near normal, it is still a little bit below par for what we'd expect at this point in the season. As of the 25th of October, we would expect to have an ACE of 112.30 after 13 tropical storms, so that's bang on. 6 hurricanes, so a bit low on hurricanes, and 3 majors, so we're about bang on there. So it's like it's like for the number of hurricanes that we're a little bit down on, that explains why the ACE is a little bit down as well. However, we've got major Hurricane Melissa. It looks like it's probably going to be a big ACE booster over the next few days. So that is going to be very interesting to see how ACE responds to Melissa next week. Remember, accumulated cyclone energy is telling us how much each individual storm is emitting through the season, and then coming up with an overall energy, for the season as a whole. Thank you, shout to Ace Master Shrine Bruin for getting that together for us. Then we move on to the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index. Remember, the SOI is just measuring air pressures between Tahiti and also between Darwin, and then coming up with an overall SOI number. When the Southern Oscillation Index is in positive territory, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. When it's in negative territory, atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. We see increasingly positive numbers here for the SOI over the past week or so. So we have 15th of October coming out slightly negative, -3, but since then we've been trending positive. 19th of October, for example, 7.60. 21st of October, 15.15, 23rd of October, 17.47, and then some really positive numbers, 24th, 25th of October, 24.43, and 24.62. The atmospheric setup is increasingly moving into a La Nina type setup then, and that is the reason that over the past couple of weeks, and probably more over the past week actually, we have seen the La Nina signature in the equatorial Pacific Ocean intensifying. The 30-day SOI average, which is this red line, is turning increasingly positive. So around the end of September, beginning of October, it's down here. Now we're moving up to here. The 90-day average doesn't move around anywhere near as much, of course, but that's pretty flat at the moment. But the 30-day average definitely want to keep an eye on. That is moving upwards. The atmospheric setup in the Southern Ocean is moving more into a La Nina phase. That will allow, if it continues, the La Nina signature to continue to intensify. CFSB2 forecasting a weak La Nina for its winter. So important number is just here, half a degree below average. We're about there now, and CFS is predicting as we go through October into November, we're going to go to around a degree below average. That's still within a weak La Nina threshold, probably lasting into the beginning of January as well, and then moving back into neutral territory when we get through into the spring. So we may get a La Nina designated for this winter, we may or may not. It's a little bit touch and go, but it looks like CFS, has got the right trend anyway, which is towards a La Nina type signature. Right, Arctic Oscillation next. So, remember the AO, similar to the SY really, and the QPO, just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. When the Arctic Oscillation is negative, we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic and over North Pole. When the Arctic Oscillation is positive, we've got low pressure over the Arctic and over the North Pole. Currently, we're around neutral with the Arctic Oscillation. Looks like it could be trading into positive territory and then dropping back towards neutral conditions once again. That tells us that for a while, briefly, there's going to be lower pressure up over the pole, but the block signal may well increase a little bit when we go through into November. But overall, nothing overly dramatic though happening with the Arctic Oscillation. This is how the NAO is currently looking. And the NAO is in negative territory. That could be one of the reasons that the Atlantic seasonal temperature anomalies are starting to, show a tripole type signature. At the moment, we are actually quite strongly negative with the NAO, and have been since about the middle of October. We're going to stay in negative territory for the next week or so, trending back towards neutral conditions maybe by the second week of November there. Nothing particularly dramatic happening with the AO, but the NAO definitely one to watch. We're in quite strong negative territory at the moment, and looks like we're going to try and bounce back towards more neutral NAO type conditions, but no real evidence that we're going to go particularly positive with the NAO in the foreseeable future. Moving up towards the stratosphere, this is the first time you've seen this this season. This is our temperatures at 10 HPA in the stratosphere, over the Arctic and over the North Pole are currently looking versus the long-term average. So sorry, everyone. So we see the black line here. Well, it's pretty much from a JMA, by the way. It's pretty much on trend, to be honest. It's exactly where you expect temperatures at 10 HPA to be at this time of year, because we are in a cooling time of year in the stratosphere. And like the cold temperatures, that's what is going to be powering the polar vortex, essentially. So we see that from the beginning of the season, start September, we go from about minus 45 to where we are right now, which is about minus 66, minus 67. We bottom out on average somewhere about minus 73, minus 74, and then we gradually come back up. But of course, that's just an average over a 30-year period. And there will be years that go significantly colder than average. For example, black line might do something like that, and then might have a warming and do something like that. So the grey, it's just averaging things out over a 30-year period. Well, this is how the latest GFS run. You're talking, I think, missing a pub run as well. They could show anything, really. As it is, the 80s okay, the pub run. So we've got blue colours here. These are the cold temperatures at 10 APA over the Arctic and over the North Pole. Of course it is. So how is GFS forecast being over the next couple of weeks? Well, those cold temperatures are maintained. That polar vortex at its roots in the stratospheric level of the atmosphere, if you like, there. And we go on beyond that, and well, those cold temperatures are maintained. Nothing overly dramatic happening, so no sign of a dramatic drop in temperature to the 10th of November, hovering around minus 72 there over the top of the pole. If we go back to here, minus 72 in early November will be about there, so not going to be too far from what you'd be expecting to be seeing. Really very close to average. We do see signs of a bit of a warming of the stratosphere taking place over Siberia. Of course, nothing comes of it in terms of an SSW, so stratospheric warming event, but we see a little bit of a warming there over Siberia, which is slightly unusual. We see that in November, but doesn't penetrate into the pole or get anywhere near what we would classify as an SSW. What we're looking for is this, really, certainly if you want a normal blocking type pattern set up. So this is from the 1st of January 2013, again looking at 10 HPA in the stratosphere with the temperature there. So what you'll notice the blue and purple colours, that's polar vortex at its roots over the Arctic and North Pole, but you'll also notice this dramatic yellow, orange and red area over Siberia. That's a sudden stratospheric warming event that's taking place on New Year's Day over Siberia in the North Pole. And look what happened with that very dramatic warming. Yes, it intensifies over Siberia and starts to move in towards the Arctic and into the North Pole. This is what we're going to be looking for as we go into the winter. We're going to be looking to see whether we get an SSW. If we do get a midwinter sudden stratospheric warming event, will it have any impact, on the atmosphere? Will it set up a blocking pattern a couple of weeks further on, etc., etc.? This is the 8th of January 2013. Note how the warming is easing down, but those vibrant colours are penetrating into the North Pole. The polar vortex, which remember is the blue colours as its roots of stratosphere, becoming very stretched and elongated from North America all the way to Europe. Then seeing how the polar vortex is gradually, slowly being pulled apart. And then we get a secondary warming beginning to happen over the Atlantic and eastern parts of America, putting even more pressure on the polar vortex at its roots on the 9th of January 2013. So that takes us through to the 10th of January 2013. Check this one out. Yes, we've got a split of the stratospheric polar vortex there. Now, that sudden stratospheric warming that we had in the middle of the winter of 2012-2013 did everything that you would want an SSW to do. We had a major warming of the stratosphere over Siberia. It penetrated into the North Pole and stretched the polar vortex to its roots. We got a secondary warming over North America that combined with the first warming over Siberia and split the polar vortex at its roots in the stratosphere, and that is the 11th of January 2013. Classic split has taken place, reversing the zone of winds as well, by the way, to both 10 and also 30 HPA. And of course, the scenario from that just got colder and colder and colder as the winter went along. So that did indeed set up a significant blocking pattern, and we ended up with our coldest March since I think about 1883, something like that, courtesy, almost certainly, partly anyway, of that major sudden stratospheric warming event. Look at the total obliteration of the stratospheric polar vortex that is occurring here as we go through the first half of January 2013. Look how sort of raggedy it's looking and all over the place. So, obliterating the polar vortex, reversing the zone of wind, that's the kind of thing we're going to be looking for through the course of the next few weeks and months. We're going to look at some data in a moment, see whether there's any sign of anything like that actually occurring for this winter. So I'll see you. Set things up nice, isn't it? I'll see you in a couple of minutes. See you soon, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to the 5th Winter 2025-26 update from GavsWeatherVids. It's been good bits, hasn't it? Been alright. Wasn't sure what it's going to be like, was you? Like last week, it was such a letdown. But it's been okay. I've enjoyed it. Happily, it was like a lot of good stuff. Thanks so much to everyone. Right, so, of course, we're seeing what we're looking for in terms of a sudden stratospheric warming event for this winter. Let's have a look at a bit of data and see whether there's any sign of one. So, we're going to start off with the 10 HPA weekly temperature anomaly mean from the ECMWF, starting with week 1. So we're looking up here, of course. This is the North Pole and the Arctic Circle. So you see a little bit of a warming around the edge of Siberia there as we're going through the next week, 27th of October to 3rd of November. Not much happening though. This is week 2. Again, not much sign of any warming there. That's week 3, 10th of November to the 17th. Again, not much sign of a warming there. 17th to 25th of November. Again, no sign of any notable warming. I'll say it through week 5. We finish up with week 6, which is the 1st through to the 8th of December. Well, I mean, 6 weeks away, we do see like the anomalies a little bit above average. So, I mean, it's much too far away and too weak a signal to be able to say that that is the model picking up on an early mid-winter SSW event. But it is quite early to be seeing, both sort of some pink colours to be over top of the pole. So, a little bit on the interesting side. But we will need to monitor that over the next few weeks to see whether that gets developed and, intensifies into anything interesting. Another way of looking at the polar vortex over the North Pole in the stratosphere is through the zone of wind. So one way of looking at it is through the temperature, how cold the temperatures or how warm the temperatures are getting at 10 HPA. Another way of looking at polar vortex is through the zone of wind. And like if the zone of wind becomes very strong, then the polar vortex is going to be very strong. If the zone of wind weakens, then polar vortex will be weakening. If the zone of wind reverses, that is when we have an SSW typically, and we're potentially going to set up a blocking pattern and obliterate the polar vortex. So this is how the ECMWF is forecasting things over the next few months. It's coming from Copernicus. Dates are along the bottom of the chart. Now, the important line really is this black line because that is climatology. So you can see that the green and red lines are actually underneath that black line, particularly through the first half of the winter, but actually through much of the winter, telling us that the ECM sees while it is forecasting a weaker than average zone of wind through this winter. Not much of a signal for an SSW, I would suggest. There's no dramatic drop going on there, but just like a weaker than average zone of wind is being predicted there from the ECM. So a weaker polar vortex band would normally be expected. Meteo France looking very similar as well. So again, the black line is climatology, both blue and red lines underneath black line telling us about polar vortex or zone of wind indicating the strength of polar vortex is likely to be a bit below par, particularly the earlier part of the winter. So again, we've got our dates on the bottom. That's like December, January, for example. So later on in winter, February, March, then we would go closer to average. So it's really the early part of winter, but the wind looks a little bit weaker. This is quite interesting. This is DWD, so that's a little bit more, a little bit more dramatic in terms of how far underneath the black line those blue and red lines are. Particularly, again, for the earlier part of the winter, December and January, and that might be indicative of the model, or the ensemble, I guess, the model's ensemble, indicating a chance of a reversal zone wind and an SSW for the earlier part of the winter. That looks like it's very much focused on December. December could be one to watch in terms of an early SSW type event. And then reverting actually a little bit stronger than average later on in the winter. So bouncing back perhaps, recovering after an early winter SSW there with the DWD. That was quite interesting. And then we've got the JMA from Japan, of course. Again, similar to what we were just looking at. Generally looking a little bit weaker with the zone of wind compared to average for the earlier part of winter, but later on in winter, reverting closer to average. And then finally, we've got a very own UK Meta. So other models I can show you, but I'm going to think about the time limit with this. So in terms of the UK Met, again, it's a very similar story. Best climatology. These are the ensemble means, and we see they are below par for the earlier part of the winter, December, January, and then later on in winter, February and March, we revert back closer to average. So it looks like it's the early part of the winter, but definitely one to watch. The only model I would say there that's really indicating like potentially an SSW would be the DWD, and that would be focused on December, which is quite unusual. But we have had sort of early winter SSWs before. I think 1984-85 had one, and probably 2001 have one as well. That may be something that we could look at through reanalysis. Shryan, it might be Shryan. It might be. We might be able to look at that. Winters that have an early December focus, sudden stratospheric warming event. Right, okay, one last little break, and then when we come back, we're going to finish this video, climax it. Climax, matron. We're going to climax the video with Eurasian so cover, so I shall see you in a couple of seconds' time. See you soon, everyone. Okay, so we're back for the final time for the 5th Winter 2025-26 update. I just want to put the camera on very quickly to say thank you so much everyone for tuning in to this update. I'm so sorry, but I wanted to bring this last week. I was a bit poorly last weekend. I really felt, like I was letting everybody down with that, because I know so many of you are waiting for the winter updates. It's a very challenging time for me at the moment doing GavsWeatherVids and also doing the second job, and I'm not entirely sure how much longer I can keep this going for, to be honest. So make the most, I would say make the most of the winter updates while you can. I know so many of you love watching them. I love doing them, but I'm not getting any younger, and it is proving quite challenging to keep these going, week by week. So, for this season anyway, we're going to carry on, and how much longer though I can carry on for, I'm really not sure. But thank you so much to all of you, and I'm so sorry, for letting you all down, and that I feel bad all the time, I'm letting you down and neglecting all of you and neglecting GavsWeatherVids. Really, as I've told you before, GavsWeatherVids is my love, it's my passion, it's the only thing that I have ever been a success at, really, in my life. Generally, I've been a failure at most things, and GavsWeatherVids is the one thing that I have been a success at. I won't say I am now, but I was previously a success at GavsWeatherVids, and it's the only thing I've ever had a kid, so it's the only thing I've ever created, and it's the only thing that is truly, really 100% mine, and it's my love and my passion, and I'll carry on doing it as long as I possibly can, but it is proving really quite challenging at the moment. But I thank you all so very much for sticking with me and with GavsWeatherVids, and I'm sorry, but sometimes I'm not around doing the videos fast like I used to be, and I wish it was different, but at the moment it isn't. I'm so sorry about that. But we have got this season winter updates to go through. So before we round this video up and get to bed, let's have a look, shall we, at Eurasian snow cover for another time. So this is how things are looking in terms of Eurasian snow cover when we did the last winter update, the fourth winter update, with the snow line just there into central parts of Siberia and Russia. That's as of the 10th of October. This is the latest as of the 25th of October. And to be honest, we haven't seen a huge amount of gain over the past couple of weeks, and we have possibly lost a little bit even. I don't know. What do you think, everyone? Well, I think we probably have gained in the eastern portion of Siberia, but we certainly haven't pushed that snow line much further eastwards there. And like across southern Russia, it's probably retreated back, but it has pushed a little bit further eastwards across northern Russia, I guess. But, you know, I don't think you can really say that total coverage has increased greatly over the past couple of weeks, which I think is probably quite surprising. We have seen a little bit of snow turning up across some parts of Norway and northern parts of Sweden and Finland as well. But again, not a huge amount doing there. But how are we comparing anyway? That's just my take on it. Let me know in the comments what you think. How are we comparing with previous years? Let's start going through them then. So this is how we compare to this time last year, 2024, and I would say we have less snow this year. We're behind 2024 for total snow cover. We are way behind 2023 for snow cover as well, both for Russian and also for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. We are behind 2022 as well for snow cover, and we're behind 2021 also for snow cover, particularly across northern parts of Scandinavia and Baltic regions, and also across northern Russia as well. That is 2020, and we're behind 2020, both Scandinavia, Nordic, and also Russian snow cover as well. That is 2019, which we are lagging behind in all areas also. That is 2018, I would say we're behind 2018, and we are way behind 2017 as well, particularly for Russian snow cover, but also for Scandinavian snow cover too. That is 2016. Want to make it that year? Well, I think we say we're behind 2016 as well. We're not doing very good at the moment, are we? That is 2015. So that's probably closer for Scandinavian snow cover, but we're behind 2015 for Russian snow cover. And this is 2014. We're way behind 2014. No comparison to 2014 for both Scandinavian, Nordic, and also Russian snow cover. That is 2013, and again we're behind 2013 in all areas. I'm going to find a year that we're ahead of. Well, we go through to 2012, and that year lagged a lot until the last week or so, and even 2012 we are now behind in terms of Russian and also Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is 2011. That one's a little bit closer perhaps, but we're probably a little bit behind that year. That is 2010, so we're behind 2010 as well, probably quite close to Russian snow cover, but behind it for Scandinavian Nordic snow cover. That is 2009. We're lagging behind 2009 also, particularly for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover, but also for Russian snow cover. That is 2008. Now, that could be a closer year. I think that's the closest one that we've seen so far. Again, please let me know in the comments which years you think we're closest to, everyone. I reckon that is the closest match that we've had so far. But even that year, we might be a little bit behind 2008 now. That is 2007. So we're behind 2007 for Russian snow cover. That's 2006. We're behind 2006 for Russian, Scandinavian, and Nordic snow cover. And that is 2005. So that's a closer year for Russian snow cover. In fact, that probably is the closest year Russian snow cover. We are, however, behind 2005 for Scandinavian and Nordic snow cover. That is one of the years that's the closest back. So I would say it's 2005 and 2008 so far. That is 2004. We're behind 2004, particularly for Russian snow cover. That's 2003. Well, no comparison to 2003. There's actually lots of snow into parts of Europe at this point in October 2003. And then we go through to 2002. Again, we're behind 2002. No comparison there. That is 2001. And we're way behind 2001 as well. That is 2000. So that might be a closer match. We're behind 2000, though, I would say, in all areas, really. It might be one of the closer matches. We're really doing really badly, aren't we? I'm quite shocked a bit. I hadn't really studied bits before I got these charts loaded up, so I'm quite shocked at how badly we're doing for snow cover this season. That is 2000, that's 1999, sorry. So we're behind 1999 there, and that is 1998. So, well, that could be a closer match, but I think, again, we're a little bit behind 1998, particularly for Russian snow cover. We're going to go even further back, finally, to 1966. I won't do year-by-year comparisons, so just keep this in mind, everyone. That is where the snow line is, and that's how things will go with Scandinavia and in those Nordic regions as well. Now, you've got to turn your head around. This is 1997. We're behind 1997 for snow cover in all areas. We're behind 1996 for snow cover in all areas. 1995 might be, where am I going? No, that's 1997. Let's go back to 1995. We're behind 1995 in all areas. It's getting rather late now. We're behind 1994 in all areas, particularly for Russian snow cover, but also for Nordic snow cover as well. We're way behind 1993. Look how much snow we got across Russia at this point in 1993. And for 1992, well, I would say we're behind that as well. 1991, we're behind that, particularly for Russian snow cover. And 1990, we are behind that year also for Russian snow cover. Probably quite close for Scandinavian and closer for Nordic snow cover, though. 1989, behind that in all areas. 1988 could be closer match. That could be, in fact, that could be the 1 year. I will do a comparison there, actually. 1988 could be the 1 year, but we're actually ahead of. I reckon that there's more snow this year, particularly across Russia, there was in this point in 1988. So I think 1988 is probably the 1 year, well, 1 year so far, but we are actually ahead of for snow cover. 1987 could be another year to add to the party, but we might be slightly ahead of. 1986, well, I reckon we're probably behind that year for Russian snow cover. We're definitely behind 1985 and 1984 as well, probably behind 1983. We're way behind 1982. 1981, I think we'll say we're behind that year. 1980 might be a closer matching year, but we're behind it, I think. 1979, we're going to be behind that year. We're way behind 1978 at this point, and 1977, and particularly 1976. Look how much snow it was across Russia at this point in 1976, almost pushing down in towards China as well, and, you know, absolutely unbelievable. And into, like, Sweden, Norway, Finland, large portions of the north, anyway, covered. Lots of snow at this point in 76. 75 might be close to matching year, but I think we can say we're behind that year, and we're behind 1974 as well. 1973, way behind that year. We've got snow line into Eastern Europe at this point in 1973. But it's all subjective, by the way, so please let me know in the comments what you think about it all. But this is just my take on it as a content creator. This is 1972, so we're behind that year. 1971, we're behind that year. 1970, we're behind that year. No data, annoying. 1969, we're behind 1968 as well in all areas. And 1967, we're behind that year. We're behind 1966 as well. We're not doing terribly well for snow cover there, are we? So I would say the closest years in recent years anyway that we saw there, probably 2008, maybe 2005. But again, let me know in comments what you think about all of that. Right, this is a 50-minute plus winter update. We've done it old school style. I wanted to make this an epic after last week's letdown, so I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, subscribe, spread the word about what we're doing at GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Thank you so much to Richard Shaw, to Shrine Bruin, and to Terry Scully for all of the help, not only on this winter update, but on all of winter updates this. Hashtag Team Gav doing an awesome job for us. It's me that's letting everybody down. Everybody else is doing an amazing job, and I'm so sorry about that once again. Right, well, we're going to end it there. I'm going to have a 6th winter update for you, hopefully, fingers crossed, next week. So, again, let me know in the comments what you think about all of this, and we'll see you again with more very, very soon for the 5th winter 2025-26 update. That is all for now, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon, and bye for now.